She finished!
Great job.
Way to go.
Change your mind, change your life.
And welcome back to another edition of Running with James. Today, guys, we have a special treat. We have one of our BC Fitness athletes. We've got Robi here, and she is going to, I asked her to do this for me, and she so kindly agreed to do this. She just attempted a 70.3. She's really training for an Ironman, and so that she's planning on doing it in October, right?
September.
Oh, September.
Close.
I apologize. So it's an inside joke. So anyway, we decided with all the stuff getting canceled, everything that was going on, she had actually had a 70.3. Was it Wisconsin or where was it that you were going to do it?
Galveston.
Galveston. Say Wisconsin, Galveston. They're close. But it got canceled.
COVID.
Right? It got COVIDed. Right? So we decided that we still want to make sure we're on track, and so we decided we would put together a simulated 70.3. And so. We planned it out, we worked it out, and we did it. And while we were out there together doing this thing, we were kind of talking about kind of her journey or her road to this portion of her goal. And I was like, man, we should do like a video on this because it's a cool story. It's like kind of inspirational, right? And so when it's your story, you don't ever think it's inspirational. You just think it's like, why is this so hard to get this done, right? But when other people hear about it, it inspires them, it encourages them, because I think a lot of times we go through things and we feel like we're the only one that's ever gone through that, right? And so when we hear stories, oh man, well if she could do it, that means I could probably do it too, right? So I know several times in my life I've heard things like that. So we wanted to kind of talk about it, right? So Robi, kind of tell us a little about yourself, like how old are you, married, you're a movie star, what? Tell us something about yourself.
Not a movie star. I'm 34, married with 2 kids. They are 6 and 3. So I have my hands full-time job, still, working.
Okay, so you're a mom,
Mom.
you're a wife,
Wife.
you're an employee, right? Okay, and then on the side you try to figure out a way to train for an Ironman.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so you're a busy lass, okay? So kind of tell me then, or tell us really a little bit about kind of like your journey. So like what got you, what in the world made you decide, okay, I want to do a 70.3. So when I say, first of all, what is a 70.3? What is that? Tell everybody what that is.
A 70.3 is also a half Ironman, so it's 3 disciplines. It's a triathlon. It is a 1.2 mile swim, a 56 mile bike ride, and a 13.1, so a half marathon run.
Yeah.
So literally half the distance of a full Ironman.
Right, and so the 70.3 is 70.3 miles, right? Okay, so in one event you're doing 70.3 miles, and that's only half of what you do on an Ironman. I don't even understand why anybody would want to do that, right? Kind of tell us, how long ago did you make a decision? Do you want to try to do this? What did you want to do first? Kind of, how did this, what gave you the crazy idea to go do something like this?
I was a bored runner.
Okay.
I hate running, but it's like I love-hate relationship, so I do it, but I really don't enjoy it. So I was like, why not mix it up?
Okay.
And triathlons gave me that outlet, and I ran my first marathon in Marine Corps, and I was like, it'd be really cool would be to do my first half Ironman in Cozumel. At the time it was Cancun, but I wanted to go to Mexico. It was my 30th birthday. It was going to be great. But then before that, I actually attempted a big first half Ironman by attempting one in 2013 in Wisconsin.
Okay, so your first one was 7 years ago. Okay, and so kind of tell us, what was your training like? Well, what did you do? How did you prepare for it? How did you get ready? How much time did you spend getting ready for this event?
Yeah, so I kind of decided to do it probably about 3 months before the event.
Okay, so about 12 weeks.
Yeah,
all right.
But I'd had a pretty solid training block coming off of a marathon, a couple of races. And what really kind of put the wheels in motion was I had a miscarriage in March of 2013. And coming off of that, the year that I had planned for myself wasn't the year I envisioned.
Sure.
Obviously, I thought I was entering motherhood, and that went away.
Right.
So to kind of fill that void, I threw myself into a 70.3. I was like, well, 3 months, I'm fairly fit. I think I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So training was all self-code, Google something on the internet, try to stick to it. I worked around some local races. I was doing half marathons regularly with my mom and my sister that year. My sister was doing 13 and 13. So yeah, I felt confident going into that race that things, like a healing, cathartic training.
Okay, so how did it go? I mean, did you finish? How quick did you finish? What happened?
So I actually found out I was pregnant 2 days before the race.
Okay, all right.
I told my doctor, and they told me to take it easy, and I said, oh, well, I have a race on Sunday, and they said, well, do the race and then nothing else.
Okay.
I was like, all right. I told my mom. I did not tell my husband. So we drove out to the race that weekend, and he had no idea.
Sure.
What was going on. My race day changed a little bit because the things I had usually during training consisted of like the margarita and a Red Bull and, things you're not going to
Right,
take.
the things that you usually use to prep for a really big event. Yeah, okay, keep going.
So race day came, and the swim was in Lake Michigan, which is basically an ocean.
Yeah.
And it had swells that day. It was one of the worst days they've ever had for a swim. Rough seas. I wasn't sure if I had seasickness, if it was morning sickness.
Right.
I didn't know. My shoulder was dislocated on the swim. I popped it back in. That was fun. And I got out on the bike course. That was hilly. Wisconsin has a lot of hills. But I had trained for it, so I felt okay, confident on the hills, but I couldn't keep anything down, again, because I wasn't feeling right. I wasn't feeling very well. And so I got back from the bike, and I called it at the run.
Okay, so you didn't finish?
No.
Okay, so you were 13.1 miles short from finishing. All right, so how did that feel? I mean, what was that like? I mean, putting 3 months of preparation in, was it not a big deal because you're like, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm excited? I mean, what was going on through your mind?
Yeah, I pulled out mostly for fear. Not that fear that I wouldn't finish or fear that I couldn't do it, but coming off of a prior miscarriage,
right,
with nothing leading into why I miscarried, and then not feeling well, not feeling right, knowing I hadn't had any nutrition really. I just didn't want to attempt it. It wasn't worth the risk for me at that point.
Okay, so let's kind of fast forward, right? So let's kind of move on to the day, right? So a couple weeks ago, we made this decision. All right, we're going to go out. We're going to do this 70.3. We had to try to get some people to kind of ride with you, and I said I'd run with you a little bit. So starting out with the first event, the swim, right? What was your morning like? How did that differ than maybe the first time you tried it, right? What was Saturday morning at what time did you get up?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. What was Saturday morning at 5 o'clock? And that's actually kind of late for an event start, isn't it? So you're welcome for the later day start. Okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah, so I didn't have to make a transition window. So, my transition wasn't until 6:30.
Right.
And I woke up, I walked my dogs. We took them out for a little under a mile, which they normally get anyways. So regular morning walk for us, coffee instead of Red Bull. And then I had some toast with peanut butter and bananas, because that's, what you should eat leading up for a big event.
Okay.
And then I just started hydrating, water, some electrolytes, start getting everything flowing for the day. And then I headed out to the YMCA.
Okay, so how did you feel? I mean, were you excited? Were you nervous? Were you just like, it's just going to be a long training day?
I was nervous. I gave all my friends my goodbyes leading up to it.
Your goodbyes like you're going to die? Is that the deal? Okay.
Training in Texas summers is not something that
true.
I look forward to in a race-like situation. A long day is nothing I would ever voluntarily sign up for.
Sure.
So thanks for pushing me out of that zone. But yeah, it was, I felt okay. I was nervous because, again, I didn't have a great track record. I'm still, looking to see what's going to happen.
Sure.
Is this going to be it?
Because you don't know until you do it, right?
Right.
Really, until you finish your first one, you don't even know if you can or not, right? So that's usually, that should always be your first goal when you do something like tackling a marathon or a half Ironman or an Ironman. It's just your first goal should always be cross the finish line, right? That should always be your first goal. So, so how do you think you did? How'd you do on the swim? Like, how did that go? I was there for the swim, sitting in a chair. I was so exhausted watching you go back and forth in the pool. And actually, you talk about how hot it was. It was actually very nice in the morning time. It was windy. It was like the sun wasn't out. I was chilling in the cabana It was fun. So how was your swim?
I mean, it wasn't, the waves of Lake Michigan.
Sure, right.
It was a lot nicer, but it was the second time back in the pool since March.
Right, because of COVID. So the
Yeah.
pools were shut down for like 2 months before we went, right? Okay.
Yeah, so really not any training at all, and it was mind-numbingly boring. I wasn't even watching counting laps. I was really depending on my watch, so I think when I came out, it was actually a little over, just because whatever my watch said was what I was going by. So, yeah, it was a lot, like I said, no waves, but just boring.
Okay.
So
So you get out of the pool, right? And how are you feeling? Are you feeling good? You feeling tired? You feeling like, okay, this is going good? What were your thoughts?
it was a little slower than I had expected, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting my best, just lack of training for the pool. And again, having, that constant back and forth against your own current.
Right.
So a little slower, but still feeling strong. I felt pretty good getting out. Thought, this is it. This is time. I can do this.
Yeah. Okay, great. So kind of backtracking, you said that you had, so we did the first try, right, in Michigan, right? Wisconsin, same thing, I guess. I don't know. So you did that, didn't make it, right? You